Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we're going to be playing the new structure deck, Zombie Necromancy, with the new skill, Red Eyes Undead Reborn. This skill is a lot of fun and it has a lot of implications for how you can make very powerful synchro boards that can disrupt your opponent on your opponent's turn. The locks are a little bit odd, but we'll talk about that, and otherwise the deck feels really smooth. There are a lot of 1 and 2 card combos that I enjoy. I'll talk about those, and we can take a look at this together. The skill is called Red Eyes Undead Reborn. During this duel, you cannot normal summon or special summon any monsters from your hand or deck except for level 4 or lower dark zombie type monsters. The following effect can be used once per duel. Send up to 2 level 6 or lower zombie type monsters from your hand to the graveyard. Then set 1 Zombie Reborn from outside your deck to your field, and send 1 Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord from your extra deck to your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you cannot special summon monsters that are level 7 or higher from your extra deck or your graveyard except for synchro monsters. That's a pretty good effect. It allows you to choose 1 or 2 monsters from your hand, send them to the graveyard so they can use their effects immediately. Then you get to get Zombie Reborn. And Zombie Reborn allows you to target a zombie monster in either graveyard, banish a monster with the same name from your deck or extra deck, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster to your field. If this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle one of your banished zombie type monsters into the deck, and if you do, set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. But you can only use 1 effect per turn, so if you use the second effect to set this card, you can't activate it until the turn after. So Zombie Reborn on turn 1 means that you will also have another copy of Zombie Reborn on turn 5. Is that good? Yeah, it's pretty useful actually. I've seen a lot of games actually go that long, and the second Zombie Reborn is really, really good. Now, for the locks, it says that you can't special summon or normal summon monsters except level 4 or lower dark zombie monsters, and until the end of your next turn you cannot special summon level 7 or higher monsters from your extra deck or graveyard except synchro monsters. I've playtested this. It is either mistranslated or bugged because you also cannot special summon monsters from your opponent's graveyard if they are level 7 or higher and they are not synchro monsters. So that's odd. There's not really a reason for them to restrict you special summoning from your opponent's graveyard, so I think this is a bug. But it does mean that Ice Dragon's Prison isn't as clear-cut as you might think. For example, Tachyon uses nothing but level 8s, so Tachyon, the Ice Dragon's Prison is completely dead on it. You can still Ice Dragon's Prison cards like Shiranui Spectral Sword, so I still think that Ice Dragon's Prison is probably a really good card to play in this deck, but your mileage may vary. Right now I'm playing 3 copies of Compulse just to make sure that I don't accidentally make a mistake. For the main deck we have Changshi the Spiridao. This is the ace of the deck, so played at 3. During your main phase you can send 1 zombie type monster from your hand or your deck to the graveyard. If this card is banished, you can banish 1 zombie type monster in your graveyard, special summon this card but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Changshi the Spiridao once per turn. So this card is very, very good, but it's also level 6, which means you can't normal summon it. So be careful about that. Even though this card is in the deck, the skill does stop you from normal summoning it, which is really annoying. So you want to go ahead and discard this card with the skill, then activate Zombie Reborn on it. You banish 1 copy from your deck and special summon it from the graveyard. Then you can trigger its second effect if you want to. And you can return the one that you banished to the field as well. In order to do that, you do have to banish a zombie from your graveyard. The skill does put one of your zombie dragon lords in the graveyard for you to do this. And depending on what kind of deck you're playing and how your hand and graveyard are set up, that might actually be worth it. Then you're going to mill a card. Usually you're going to mill either Mizuki or Mad Mauler. Again, it depends on what you have in your hand. That's going to let you set up some good synchro plays. Mizuki, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target what zombie monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. This is not once per turn. This monster is Earth, so you can't normal summon it or special summon it from your hand. Uni-Zombie, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, discard a card. If you do, increase that target's level by 1. You can target 1 face-up monster on the field. Monsters cannot attack for the rest of the turn except the zombies. Also send a zombie from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase the target's level by 1. You can only use each effect once per turn. Uni-Zombie is a level 4. So if you can get your Uni-Zombie out, you can mill Mizuki and then combine it with your Samurai Skull to go directly into Skeletal Dragon Felbrand. You could also make a card like Void Ogre Dragon if you wanted to. I kind of stayed on theme for right now. I'm going to experiment with the extra deck a little bit, but for right now, this is what I've been playing, and I haven't had any problems with it. Uni-Zombie is a really good card. Samurai Skull, when this card is normal summon, you can send one zombie-type monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if this face-up card leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a level 4 or lower zombie monster from your deck, except Samurai Skull. So, you can't special summon monster from the deck except for dark monsters, which means that if Samurai Skull for some reason gets removed from the field, such as if it got compulsed, then you can't special summon your Mizuki. Keep that in mind. But that's fine. Skull, you will usually use this to mill either Chang-Chi or Uni-Zombie, depending on what you didn't have in your hand. If you have both Uni-Zombie and Samurai Skull in your opening hand, or Samurai Skull and Chang-Chi, that's full combo. And the full combo is what we'll show in the video. Mad Mauler. This card's name becomes Plague Spreader Zombie while on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one level 6 or higher monster you control, reduce its level by 2, and if you do special summon this card, also the player who special summoned it cannot special summon monsters except zombies while this card is face up. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, this card can turn your Chang-Chi into a level 4, which will allow you to go to your Immortal Dragon. Pretty good. Book of Moon, Forbidden Chalice, and Compulse. Self-explanatory. For the extra deck, we have Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. Level 10, 2800 attack, 2400 defense. During your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can target one zombie-type monster in your graveyard except Zombie the Dragon Lord, special summon it. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish a zombie monster you control to special summon this card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So that's really good. You can basically just banish any monster that you have to get the one that you got from the skill back on your field. That's your boss monster, so it's the freest boss monster we've ever seen. Just have any monster on your field and banish it, and there you go. So that's pretty good. Skeletal Dragon Felgrand, this card is amazing. Level 8, 2800 attack, 2800 defense. If this card is special summon, you can target one monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it. That does not miss timing, which is very, very nice because you special summon it off a chain. So the fact that it doesn't miss timing is very important. Why can't more synchro monsters be like this? If a monster is special summoned from either graveyard while this monster is on the field, you can target one other face-up monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of this turn. So that's very useful. You'll see that in the replay as well. Immortal Dragon, a level 6, 500 attack, 2400 defense. During your main phase, you can send one zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the difference in the original levels of that monster in this card. So it's like shooting Riser Dragon, except you can send a monster that's higher level than it for some reason. When your zombie monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. That's a useful effect. So Immortal Dragon, if it mills your Mizuki, will become a level 2 monster, which means that it can combine with Spirit Doubt to go into your Felgrand, while also putting Mizuki in the graveyard, as well as Immortal Dragon in your graveyard. That's pretty nice. Vampire Sucker requires 2 zombie monsters. It's a link, and it will allow you to draw a card each time you special summon a zombie from the graveyard, which you do all the time. Extra card draw is nice, but primarily the reason this is in the extra deck is to put Felgrand in your graveyard. Okay, let's take a look at the replay. Alright, so we're going to go first against a mirror, except this other person is playing a vampire version of the deck with 30 cards in it. So it's our turn, and we have full combo. We have the Samurai Skull, and we have the Chang-Chi. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to activate the skill. We're going to send Mad Mauler and Chang-Chi to the graveyard. Then we set our Zombie Reborn, and we send the Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord to the graveyard. Normal summon Samurai Skull effect, send Uni-Zombie to the graveyard. We activate Zombie Reborn, we banish one Uni-Zombie from our deck to revive Uni-Zombie. Then we'll use Uni-Zombie's effect, target itself, send the Mizuki from our deck to the graveyard to raise its level by 1. That means it's level 8 now. Synchro summon into the Skeletal Dragon Felgrand, then activate Mizuki's effect and banish it to special summon the Chang-Chi the Spirit Dao. Then we will use Chang-Chi the Spirit Dao, mill the Mizuki, and since we have Chang-Chi the Spirit Dao on the field, we can now banish it to revive our Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord. And when Chang-Chi is banished, it can banish a monster from our graveyard to revive itself. We're going to banish our Samurai Skull. Now with those 2 monsters, we'll link them into our Vampire Sucker. Now we have Felgrand in our graveyard, so we can special summon it with Zombie Dragon Lord. But that's not good enough. This is a draw and a banish and a negate, but it's also not good enough. So we're going to activate Mad Mauler's effect. We're going to bring our Mad Mauler back to the graveyard, draw a card, reduce Zombie Dragon Lord's level by 2. Then we can Synchro Dragon Lord with our Mad Mauler to make another Dragon Lord. Then we'll banish Mizuki from our graveyard to get another Dragon Lord on the field. By doing this, not only is our board more stable, but it also means that we don't lose our key Banish interaction if our opponent Book of Moons one of our Zombie Dragon Lords, because we have 2 now. Pass to our opponent. Our opponent is going to discard 2 cards. They're going to discard the Changshi and the Vampire Familiar to use their skill. Then they're going to activate Vampire Familiar's effect, discard Vampire Retainer to special summon Vampire Familiar. That triggers our sucker, so we draw a card. Vampire Familiar, pay 500, add a Vampire monster from deck to hand. Opponent's going to activate Zombie Reborn to revive the Changshi, the Spirit Dao. And we're going to chain Zombie Dragon Lord to revive our Felgrand. Remember that Felgrand's effect, to banish a monster that your opponent controls or that is in their graveyard, occurs when it is summoned. So it will not occur as part of the same chain as Zombie Dragon Lord summoning it. You have to wait for the chain to resolve before the banish triggers. Alright, so the opponent banished a Spirit Dao from their deck, which triggers its effect, and they also revived their Spirit Dao. Now we are going to chain to Spirit Dao's effect activating by banishing a Spirit Dao ourselves. The opponent is going to then activate Spirit Dao's effect, send the Mad Mauler from the deck to the graveyard, and then Mad Mauler's effect will activate, targeting the Spirit Dao. We are going to chain Book of Moon. If Spirit Dao's level cannot be reduced by 2, Mad Mauler will not summon itself. Great. Now our opponent's turn, they're going to activate Vampire's Desire. So they target one face-up monster they control, they send a vampire monster from their deck to the graveyard with a different level than that monster, and then the targeted monster becomes the level of that monster until the end of the turn. So they target their Vampire Familiar, they send their Vampire Retainer to the graveyard. Vampire Retainer's effect, discard a Vampire card to special summon it, then when Retainer is special summoned, you can pay 500 life points to add a Vampire spell or trap from your deck to your hand. However, his monster effect, Chain Link 1, but he special summoned a monster from the graveyard. That triggers Skeletal Dragon Felgrand's effect, so we can target a card to negate, and we will target the Vampire Retainer. On resolution, its effect is negated, the opponent concedes. There you go. So a deck that can easily banish cards from the graveyard, easily draw cards, easily interrupt the opponent and banish their monsters as well as getting some extra negates. This is the power of the Red Eyes Undead Reborn deck. I hope you guys enjoy it, and for those of you who are going to complain that they need more replays, I've already got 10 replays on my channel, so just check the other video. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.